Right, here we go. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another Chats with Chaudhry. I hope you're safe and well. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by our returning guest, Charlotte Kilpatrick, who is editor of Vaccine Nation, which is part of the World Vaccine Congress portfolio. And we are going to be previewing the World Vaccine Congress Europe event, which is running in Barcelona next week from the 16th to the 18th. So, Charlotte, first of all, it's lovely to see you. How are you?
I'm all right, thank you. It's lovely to be back here, and I'm very glad to be chatting with you today.
Well, it's lovely to see you, Charlotte. And I'm going to talk about Vaccine Nation in a little while, actually. But before we do that, for viewers who are not familiar with the World Vaccine Congress as a brand,
Mm.
because World Vaccine Congress Europe is just one of a number of events and other things that you do under the portfolio, can you give viewers a quick overview of the actual World Vaccine Congress portfolio, what it contains, and a little bit about its history as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So this year is the 24th year of our European event, but that is not all we do. So October is Europe. This year we're in Barcelona again. But in April, we have our Washington event. So that's World Vaccine Congress Washington. And in late November, we have the West Coast event. And that that incorporates a bit more immunotherapy in the vaccine space. So slightly different focuses, but the main idea is that we cover everything vaccines. So anyone who works on vaccines, interested in vaccines, check out one of those three, and hopefully there'll be something for you there.
Right. And also, as I mentioned in the intro, that you also got Vaccine Nation. So what is Vaccine Nation? How does that fit in with the portfolio?
Yeah, so this is it's a relatively new thing, just over a year old. It's essentially a community blog that I manage, and we update our community with vaccine news, but also I think what's slightly unique about it is our exciting speaker interviews, because that's where we get our sort of exclusive content from the people who are coming to deliver their insights at the event. So that's close to the event, during the event, we share these interviews and really sort of probe our speakers a little bit to try and get some more insights from them. So that's really exciting.
And in terms of signing up to the blog, is it free to access the blog? And do you have to sign up to it, or can you just access it anytime?
So you can access it at any time. It's vaccination.org. And if you want to join our weekly newsletters, you can put your email in. But if you want to just scroll through, pick some news up as you go, you're very welcome to do that. We also have a LinkedIn newsletter from the World Vaccine Congress. So there are two newsletters, weekly updates, or you can just drop in and have a look when you feel like it.
Fantastic. All right. So let's talk specifically about the World Vaccine Congress Europe. As we said, it's going to be Barcelona next week. For viewers not familiar with the event or never have attended, what, and you said, I know obviously the event's slightly different in terms of some of the content, but what, and it may seem obvious given the title vaccines, but what does it actually cover? What sort of topics does it cover in relation to vaccines?
Yeah, so this year I think we've got really exciting range of tracks. I think we've got 16 tracks over the days we're there, and they're covering everything from sort of cancer to disease X to RSV. We've got some like clinical trials, preclinical development, and then we've got adult immunization. So it's really, we try and cover the full spectrum of vaccines, everything from let's think about the science behind it to shots in arms and actually implementing them. So hopefully, if you are a person associated with the vaccine world, you think, oh, that bit actually appeals to me.
Right. Okay. And you mentioned you've got 16 tracks. I'm not going to ask you to go through all 16 because we'll be here for the whole length of this interview. But I know you have a number of speakers and so on. So how many speakers do you know? I don't know exactly the exact number, but how many speakers do you normally have at the event? And what are some of the keynote speakers and topics that you've got next week?
Yeah, so I believe we've got 260 speakers. So really good cohort. Obviously, I won't list all of them, but we've got some. I won't say big names because I think everyone there is a big
And
name.
you
But
have to be political. You don't want to upset
yeah,
anybody either.
I
So
don't want to upset any of our
yeah,
wonderful speakers. But some you may be familiar with. We've got Sarah Gilbert. We've got Angus Thompson, we've got Ruben Rizzi, and I'm thinking of some of the people I've spoken to recently, Kyle Holan, Amy Shurtleff. So we've got, maybe if it is better if I use organizations, we've got CEPI, UKHSA, we've got European Medicines Agency. We've got some really big speakers, and they are covering some really big, exciting issues this year. So one that I'm particularly interested in is the future of adult immunization.
Right.
So I've definitely covered a lot of sort of zero dose children, trying to improve rates there, but it's also fascinating to consider the adult population and possibly groups that are susceptible to vaccine hesitancy and misinformation, but also implementation. So yeah, some really big topics from some really big names. I think it'll be very exciting.
Great. And you touched on some of the things I was going to ask you. So one thing I was going to ask, given your role as editor of Vaccination and working across all three events, and obviously you see the content which has been curated, I should say, for those events. What are some of the trends then that you've seen come out? Because obviously the shows often will reflect what some of the hot topics are. So what are some of the hot topics within the vaccine world which you've seen over the last 12 months or so?
I think that's a really interesting question, and one that I find quite interesting to answer is that obviously the pandemic that we've experienced is not over yet. And I don't want to upset anybody by saying it's behind us. We're still very much living with it and learning from it. But I think attention is now turning to, we've got some really important lessons. What do we have to prepare for in the future? So we've got things like disease X, pandemic preparedness, better supply chain management. So we obviously, COVID-19 was massive, but we know that's not the only thing in our future. So what are we going to do to transform the vaccine world, really, in order to be better prepared to respond to the next thing or to manage it before it becomes a pandemic? So I think that's a really big theme. And that sort of applies across all areas. So we've got things like the technical side, preclinical development, correlates of protection, but then we've also got managing information, misinformation. Yeah, I just think everyone's thinking, okay, we've had a big shakeup. How do we go forward?
Right. Okay. Well, that's a very fair point. And I was just thinking, the irony is that the vaccine has saved so many lives, but interesting enough, it's also made people more hesitant, some people, to use vaccines, even though it may have saved them and prevented them getting seriously ill. So it's quite a dilemma, I think, going forward in terms of the vaccine world, how you sort of not win hearts and minds, but convince people that it's actually a safe thing to use.
Absolutely. And something that I hear from many of our speakers is it's not vaccines that save lives, it's vaccinations. So it's all well and good having this fantastic vaccine, but if no one's going to take it, it's useless. And I think the sort of the becoming of a household name for vaccines was a double-edged sword. And I think that's something that our scientists, our developers, even the marketing people, everyone's conscious of this, and they're thinking, how do we convince people that this is the right thing to do?
Right.
Yeah, okay. Very interesting.
Now, as well as the nearly 300 speakers you've got, though, if someone was to be in Barcelona next week and obviously maybe thinking I want to go to the beach, but what will make them stay in the conference center apart from the talks?
Yeah, so I mean, if you want to go to the beach, why not wait until you've come and seen the exhibition floor? Because, I mean, our talks are going to be amazing, but you're also going to meet some fantastic sponsors. I think we've got 120 sponsors, just had to check my notes. Plus, what I'm really excited about this year is our startups. We are doing for the first time a startup pitch session, which is really exciting, allowing our fantastic cohort of about 57, I think, just over 55 startups to present themselves to our community. So that's really exciting. Exhibition floor will be packed, and we've got networking as always. So some little drink sessions taking place in the evenings. Then we've got an off-site networking, and what I hear from almost everyone I speak to is just that bumping into people during the day is really valuable. And I don't think you get that on the beach. You might get a bit of sunshine, but you don't get those sort of corridor conversations that are really valuable.
No, it's true. And also, I should add, you also bump into people at the airport getting on the plane, and you also bump into people on the bus going to the venue, and you also bump into people when you're waiting to get on the plane. Because I had 3 different conversations with different people I hadn't expected to meet
There you
that
go.
way on the way to a show this week. No, that's fantastic. Now, one question I will ask you, and obviously it's relevant, and you've touched on it a little bit with your talking about the interviews are going to be online. How much of the content, though, is available digitally, whether live while the event's running or available on demand post? And I know some of this is going to be dependent on speakers giving permission for presentations to be available, but obviously various organizers and events have different philosophies now since the pandemic has eased off and live events have come back in force, and to whether they will actually have any live content or whether they'll just make it on demand, or they may not even have it available at all. So what's the policy in terms of World Vaccine Congress?
So the focus is very much on the event in person, and the speakers will be addressing the people in the room, and that's really great. But obviously, I appreciate not everyone can make it. So one thing to look out for will be the interviews that we'll be doing with our speakers. They won't be available instantly because there's a little bit of a turnaround time, as I'm sure you're aware.
I do mine instantly, Charlotte, so
Yeah.
it's different to you, so don't worry.
Well, I take a little longer to fiddle through the little
You make it more slick than me, that's the thing. So you're far more slicker than I am, so that's the thing.
So there'll be speaker interviews, there'll be sponsor interviews and startup insights, but the content will very much be for the people at the Congress. I believe that, as you say, some speakers and presenters will be enabling the access to their presentations after the event. But as you say, that's very much dependent on sort of how they feel about that content. So the focus is on being in person. So if people can come, I encourage them to, but I'm also going to try and get those speaker interviews out really quickly so that people who can't make it can get an insight, a flavor of what's going on. And we'll have a post-event report as well, which will cover some of the main issues and the highlights that were featured there. So if you can't come, do keep an eye out for that as well.
Fantastic, Charlotte. Well, unfortunately, I won't be there this year, so I can't cover the event and give people a flavour, but you will do that for me anyway. That's great. Because I will be in sunny Liverpool, hopefully, next week, rather than sunny Barcelona, or even Las Vegas, which I could have gone for ISP annual meeting, but I'm not there either. So I wish you a fantastic conference next week. I hope it goes really well. And also the San Diego event later on in the year. And we'll put the link to this year's event, because people can still register, by the way, people. So I'll put the link above the video so you can still register, and the dates for the San Diego next year's main event in Washington. The links for those will all be above the video as well. So Charlotte Wilson says, lovely to see you again. It's always lovely chatting to you. And you're a breath of fresh air in the morning, so it's lovely to see you. So I hope conference next week. And viewers, if you are involved in vaccines in any shape or form, then certainly check out the links to the events, but also make sure you sign up to Charlotte's blog on Vaccine Nation, because there's loads of great information there as well. So make sure you do that as well. So Charlotte, once again, thank you very much for your time. Have a safe journey to Barcelona and have a great time there. And viewers, thank you for watching. If you're in Barcelona, have a great time. If you're in Las Vegas for ISP annual meeting, have a great time. And if you're in Liverpool, see me in person and say hello, because I'd love to see you in Liverpool next week for Elrig's Drug Discovery UK. So thanks very much, Charlotte. Thank you, viewers. And until next time, stay well and stay safe. Bye-bye.
Thank you.